Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A Lombardi Trophy for Los Angeles. 23-20 is the final on their home field here at SoFi Stadium in Super Bowl 56. The Los Angeles Rams are world champions.
Yes, they are world champions. I told you on Friday. Watched the game last night. The last several weeks of the NFL has been awesome. Last night did not disappoint. The Rams struggling after it looks like they had control of the game. Then their offense seemed to sputter. The Bengals had an answer for everything. Then their guy that's on the other side of their guy. So they got Cooper Kupp, the best receiver in the league. Odell Beckham Jr., a guy who's one of the best receivers of all time. Absolutely, since getting released by Cleveland. He comes there, has been a model citizen. He's kicking butt. He gets hurt. Non-contact play. It looks like he blew his knee out again. They had nothing. Rams had nothing. Couldn't run the ball. Finally, Stafford just looked at Cooper Kupp and said, look, you're better than their guys. It'll just be you and I the whole way down. Then
Stafford from under center, steps back, throws the fade, back shoulder. Cooper Kupp's got it! Cooper Kupp brings it in! Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, LA!
And that was that. Got a sack on the last play of the game. Aaron Donald. Rams win. Fun game. Enjoyable game. A game where there was no mask. I watched it. I was looking. Nobody was wearing a mask. Oh, you'd find a few officials that were wearing a mask on the sideline, maybe one or two people in the crowd. But out of the 75 or 80,000 people that jammed themselves into SoFi Stadium, nobody I saw was wearing a mask. They showed all these celebrities not wearing a mask. All these dancers not wearing a mask. Even on the sidelines, the cheerleaders, none of them were wearing a mask. It was mask-free. The night before at the honors, right? The NFL honors big thing, and they hand out all the awards. Only the kids playing outside were wearing a mask. And by that, I mean there was like a little orchestra. They were wearing a mask. Everybody else not wearing a mask. Yeah, enough. It's enough. Rams win. I thought they would. Good game. Young upstart, cardiac kitties. That's what I call them. Bengals played their asses off. Rams did Look, at this point in time, this is what you did. You mortgaged the future. If you're the Rams, you paid for it today. You wanted it. You needed it. This was it. Our time is here. This is our window. Our window looks like this. You give away everything for the future to get players and put them in place, and you won. That's a win for you. Love more about this, including the halftime show, which I thought was very entertaining, but we live in a day and age where, you can't just go, hey, that was entertaining. No. All that being put aside for now, we still have an issue going on in a place called the Ukraine, and it is getting uglier and uglier. When might something happen is the question that people are asking.
This morning, a critical week in the Ukraine crisis amid growing fears Russia could invade in days. The White House continuing to ring the alarm, repeating that its intelligence shows Russia could be planning a fake attack on forces loyal to the Kremlin that would then be used as a reason to invade. Throughout this crisis, there's only ever been one person who really knows if there'll be an invasion: Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Yep. And that's what everybody's looking at. What is the Pooter going to do? Are you going to do anything at all, or are you not going to do anything? He's enjoying the fact that people are looking at him. He may do nothing. I don't think he can do nothing. I don't think that's possible. I think you put yourself in a position where you've painted yourself into a corner where people are expecting you to do something. If you saw Friday at all, any of the pictures, they have set up a lot of triage hospitals on the other side of the Ukrainian border in the Russian side. That, as most people will tell you, is not something you do for exercises in war games. It's just not something you do. The amount of hospitals they have set up says chances are there's an issue coming sooner rather than later. What are we saying about it?
We encourage all American citizens who remain in Ukraine to depart immediately. Any American in Ukraine should leave as soon as possible in the next 24 to 48 hours. We don't know exactly what is going to happen, but the risk is now high enough and the threat is now immediate enough that this is what prudence demands. If you stay, you are assuming risk with no guarantee that there will be any other opportunity to leave, no prospect of a U.S. military evacuation in the event of a Russian invasion.
Yeah. Translation, get your ass out, because here's the deal. You've been warned. We screwed up in Afghanistan, no matter what anybody says. Remember last week when Biden was asked about the reports that came out about Afghanistan, and he said, those reports are lies.
I just want to clarify, are you rejecting the conclusions or the accounts that are in this Army report?
Yes, I am.
So they're not true?
I'm rejecting them.
You're rejecting. I don't know what that means. They're not true. Either they're lying or look, either they've told lies and they're lying, which is you guys weren't prepared for Afghanistan. You sat around on your hands all day wondering what was going to happen, didn't believe the fact that generals would come to you and go, hey, you guys know this thing's going to fall like the minute we leave. You guys know this thing's going to go south the minute we leave. We should probably keep some people here because this thing's going to go south fast. You reject all of that and that you were never told any of that stuff. Or they're just straight out and out lies. You were never told anything whatsoever, period. Case closed. People that were talking to you were coming and lying to you about how good things were. Here you're getting fair warning. Here you're getting fair warning, and the fair warning is simply this. We understand in our intelligence, we use those words loosely, that something's going to happen sooner rather than later, so your asses better be ready to get out now, because if it goes south, if it does, we're not helping.
We have now been saying for some time that we are in the window and an invasion could begin, a major military action could begin by Russia in Ukraine any day now. That includes this coming week before the end of the Olympics. Of course, it could take place after the end of the Olympics, or it is still possible, we believe, that Russia could choose the diplomatic path. But the way they have built up their forces, the way they have maneuvered things in place, makes it a distinct possibility that there will be major military action very soon.
Yeah. And by the way, just to let you know that the military side of it looks much more real on a daily basis. The diplomatic side is Ukraine, you can never join NATO. We will tell you who you can be friends with and who you can't be friends with. So understand that. So here's the who you can, us. Here's the who you can't, anybody in the West that would look at us and say that we're bad. Here's the other question. How bad could it be? We've heard a lot about, the Ukrainians say they're going to make it bloody and awful. We've also heard that up to 50,000 soldiers and civilians could die extremely quick. So how bad could it be? It could get bad. It could. So getting past their military early will be easy. But Russian troops are going to face far more formidable adversary if Putin invades Ukraine again when it gets past the earlier incursion. The military is better trained, better equipped, more battle-tested. Understanding that there has been a fight between the Russian separatists and the Ukrainian military for the last 8 years. 14,000 people have died on the border. It is ugly. It is. Will they eventually do enough to do something? Yes. But at what cost? That's the big thing. At what cost would it be for them militarily? Probably not a huge cost. They're just statistics as far as the likes of Biden. If Putin is concerned, those people are just statistics. And the other side of things is what is it going to cost them diplomatically? But when asked about the other day about whether or not he worries about sanctions, his ambassador to Sweden said he doesn't give a blank about sanctions. Probably not. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. A lot to get to, including more about the masking insanity that never happened at the Super Bowl and the halftime show. What'd you think of it? The commercials, they sucked. Just my opinion. And I want to ask a question, too, about the commercials. The Uber Eats commercial is rather entertaining for one simple reason. And it's just entertaining to me. Maybe nobody else finds it entertaining. I tweeted it out. We'll talk about that. Plus, the Olympics goes even more dirty than before. We got the update on the Russian figure skater, who many are calling maybe the greatest of all time. She's only 15, and what her fate is, and can she compete in these Olympics? Because, wow, once again, Russia showing that they're Russia, and the IOC and everybody else showing that they're dirty as it gets. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet us, text the program. Longevity keeps me young and healthy. I'm 51 years old, and I go. I was up at 2:15 this morning, in here early, right around here at 3:30 this morning, getting myself ready for my show, doing the things that I do. I love what I do. My friend the other day, he was out with one of his radio friends. He goes, hey, next time you see Chad, just ask him, how's he doing? I tell him, man, it's longevity. Try to take good care of myself, but I also know I'm going to miss a lot of stuff, and that's why longevity comes in. I get the Healthy Body Starter Pack. It comes with tangy tangerine drink. I take it in the morning. Already drank mine early this morning. It's 90 essential nutrients. Top of that, I take Beyond Osteo FX. And the thing I love, the Ultimate EFA Plus, which covers a full range of omegas, helps support my brain and heart. That's what I want you to do. Try it for yourself. Free shipping right now. Free shipping. If you're like me and you're looking for a little boost, a little something, this is what it's all about. Go to ChadBensonHealth.com, ChadBensonHealth.com, or call 855-321-HEALTH. Check out all the great products Longevity has to offer. That's ChadBensonHealth.com, or call 855-321-HEALTH. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
Make sure you grab the podcast where great podcasts are available, which apparently is everywhere, before they tell everybody you can't have a podcast unless it's been approved by some sort of group that says it's okay to have a podcast because there's no misleading information into it. Here's some non-misleading information that you guys can have with your podcast. The Russians cheat, and everybody knows it, but apparently it's okay because they can get away with it.
The CAS panel in charge of this matter has decided to let Ms. Valieva continue her participation in the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022.
Oh, what? Yeah, so there's arbitrators, right? There's this giant sports arbitration court that you can go to. And the Olympic Committee took an extraordinary step of serving notice that athlete Kamila Valieva would stay off the podium, as would other medalists in her events, because of lingering doubts about her eligibility. Should she, Valieva, finish amongst the top three competitors in the women's singles skating competition, no flower ceremony, no medal ceremony will be taking place during the Winter Olympic Games, because it's going to have to go to another court. So if you win, if you come in second or third, and she comes in first, there will be no excitement. There will be none of these things because she cheats. And by she, I mean she's 15. She's 15 years old. She's in a system that is known for cheating in Russia. The reason Russia is not there is because they're cheaters. And because of that, they're not allowed to compete under their... Now, they're not allowed to compete as a country in the Olympics. They are, however, allowed to compete as an Olympic committee, which boggles the mind, right? This is how you get them. They shouldn't be at these games. They should be at a lot of games. It started in Sochi, has continued. For years, they were the kings and queens of cheating. Them in East Germany, everybody knew it. The reality is if you don't hold them accountable, none of it matters. None of it does.
Thousands of other Olympians around the world, not just Americans, but British and German and Canadian and Australian, who do everything the right way and who don't cheat. What a dark day this is for them, and what a slap in the face this is for them.
Yeah. Yet another reason not to watch the Olympics. First of all, it's in a communist country that is arguably one of the worst countries on the planet for the way that they treat their people. We can talk about all the crap. Oh, America's bad. Shut up. Shut up. Get over it. Enough. Enough. Let's understand who and what you're dealing with. And secondly, if you're going to actually, look, I'm okay. If you want to let everybody just cheat, but not call it cheating, just say, look, here's the deal. Take what you want to take, do what you want to do. It's a level playing field. Go. Fine. But if people are trying to do it the real way, the right way, as you have put it out there, and you do nothing about it, you're an asshat. You're an awful organization that should cease to exist because you're not holding anybody accountable. It's amazing. Oh, I wonder why nobody's watching. Plenty of reasons why nobody's watching. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Did watch the game yesterday. I was excited watching the game. The Rams did win, who I picked, but once again, the masking situation.
Not only were very few people wearing masks inside the stadium, despite claims that they would be mandated and minders would be telling people to pull them up, this unvaccinated Bengals fan from Cincinnati tells me nobody checked to see if he was vaccinated or had tested before entering, as they said they would.
Walked right in, not one time was anything mentioned, hey, we need to see your negative test or your vaccination.
Nobody asked.
Nobody, not one person.
It's raising anger on social media here because kids still have to be masked in L.A. County at school, but few in the stadium had them on.
Yeah, because it's stupid. Enough. If you're a school and you have kids in masks, what the hell are you doing? Who's telling you to do that? L.A. County has lost its mind. That is not how the rest of the world is living. It isn't. And to send kids to school umpteen months later with a mask on their face, citing study after study of how bad it is doing for them, how the damage it is doing for them, that's available, not just from the psychological, but also from the learning side of things. You're still doing this. It's only because you crave power. Nothing else. You're awful. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Inflation is going up, and the battle of whose fault is it? Washington Post had an article the other day, and they're talking about inflation and saying this massive $1.5 trillion dumpster fire earlier this year to help people out, and the continual helping people out along the way by forcing people to shut down played a huge role in it. Translation: printing money, handing it out to people, creating an artificial demand for things and goods is dangerous. What? Yeah, it is. Still, the one thing that we do is vote with our pocketbook. No matter what anybody says, Trump may be a little bit different. His disdain, the media's disdain for Trump was so big. The coming after Trump, the way that groups put themselves together, groups that normally wouldn't align themselves because they could not stand him, was so massive that he lost. Biden didn't win. But more and more Americans are saying, well, you know what? I wish I had a redo. Right? Because we're not any closer together. We're not in love, right? On this Valentine's Day, we'll touch on that in a minute. We're not in love anymore. We haven't been joined together. As I'm bringing, all of this stuff back to the White House, and that hasn't happened. What has happened is inflation has gone through the roof. Not all of that is Biden's fault. But the reality is the buck stops with him.
Inflation is up. It's up. But Americans don't need the reminder.
delivery costs, like product costs, everything seems like it's going up.
Gas prices up a whopping 40%. Furniture, used cars, and electricity also seeing a surge. At the grocery store, staples like eggs and pork are more expensive.
With the cost of food, you just have to bite the bullet. And, some things you just have to sacrifice.
Yeah, you just got to sacrifice because you got to eat. This is ugly. It is nasty. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. Remember last week, over the weekend it played, but the Lester Holt had old Biden on. They do one of those things, and he's talking about inflation.
I think it was back in July you said inflation was going to be temporary. I think a lot of Americans are wondering what your definition of temporary is.
Well, you're being a wise guy with me a little bit, and I understand that's your job.
No, that's a real question. You've echoed that 1,000 times to the point where they were always calling it the Fed. It's transitory. And then Janet Yellen comes, I think we need to retire that word because she knows it's not. It's not. It's here. People are asking serious questions. They're frustrated.
When can Americans expect some relief from this soaring inflation?
According to Nobel laureates, 14 of them that contacted me and a number of corporate leaders, it's ought to be able to start to taper off as we go through this year.
It's Nobel laureates. Well, it's got to be, right? Like, according to Nobel laureates, it's got to be that. Over the weekend, Nancy Pelosi echoed the same. According to 14 Nobel laureates. Look, the reality is people are living through it. Nobody cares about the Nobel laureates, right, at this point in time. They care about why is gas out of control. Not all his fault, but what could you do to make things better? Oh, I don't, it's, what? Why are things right now in a position where you're trying to print more money and people are looking at their dollar going not as far as it used to, and the things they're purchasing costing more and getting less? What is that about? People are asking real questions because they feel it on a daily basis. They do. They have a big problem right now. It is an ugly problem, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And they're starting to realize that this is going to cost them in a few months at the ballot box. Because, as I always say this, whether you believe it or not, yes, we vote with our pocketbook, and that president, no matter who he or she is on the ballot every time.
The Democratic Party has really got a Biden problem and a Kamala Harris problem on its hands. And let me just give you some historical context here. When Barack Obama ran for the presidency in the 2008 presidential election, he declared his candidacy on February 10th, 2007. That means in this election cycle, it's less than 1 year. It's literally almost to the day, 1 year from now, presidential contenders need to declare. So what's going to happen to Joe Biden is the day after the November election, in just a little over 8 months, Democrats are going to demand to know from Biden, are you in or are you out? And I think they're going to want him out, because he's going to take the party down. Yeah. Ari Fleischer there. And that's reality, right? No, look, the reality is 82, that's a bit long in the tooth. Doesn't seem to be with it. Inflation, a nightmare in the geopolitical world. We're getting ready potentially to square off with Russia. China's kicking our ass in a lot of ways because they're just not listening to us. The one thing I'll say is he's been kind of strong on trade with China. Oh, and there's other things too. Afghanistan, nightmare. Nightmare. I think we forget about that. And if you go and look at his poll numbers, the precipitous drop begins with Afghanistan, and he's never recovered. So if you're the Democrats and you're saying to yourself, we have a potential to lose the House, the Senate, have a lame duck president, even though he has a chance to run again, and then the Republicans will do what the Republicans do. They'll have all kinds of hearings, and it'll be back and forth, and this is what never gets anything done because it becomes more about their myopic world. But
much of this is beyond self-inflicted. It's almost like you're trying to lose at this point. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. Today is Valentine's Day, kids. The Valentiniest of all days, right? Where we celebrate Saint Valentine. People want to know, who's Saint Valentine? What's this all about? There was a lot of Saint Valentines, or there was a lot of Valentines back in the day. But the reality is, the one they look at is Saint Valentine in Valentine de Terni. He was a Roman saint, 3rd century. He was thrown in jail for secretly marrying couples against their wishes, against Emperor Claudius II, partly because Claudius didn't want his people having kids and families and loved ones, because he said it made him weaker soldiers, because they had essentially, what? They had somebody they loved, and they may not be good soldiers at that point in time. So he's thrown in jail, and Asterius of Caesarea comes along, and he's one of the jailers there, and he makes fun of this Valentine cat. He's like, hey, you suck. You're an idiot. You think you got all these powers. You're awful. Right? If you think you're so cool, I got a daughter, Julia, right? She's blind. She can't see squat. Squat! Valentine's like, yeah, you know what? Bring her here to me. Boom. He recites a prayer. She can see. Oh! He's like, man, I can't keep you in here. No way can I keep you in here. You just made my blind girl see. I can't do that. So Asterius, he converts to Christianity, releases Valentine. Eventually, Claudius II's all pissed off. He's like, man, get those guys. Let's chop their heads off. And supposedly on the inauspicious date of February 14th, 271. 271, it's a while back. They lopped their heads off. But Valentine wrote a letter to Julia, from your Valentine. From that, some guy, probably in Hartford, at a company, goes, oh my God, we could sell all kinds of cards and wishes. And away it goes. And that's how we have Valentine's Day. That's how we have it. Valentine was known for his powers to cure epilepsy, a disease involving dramatic seizures, terrified people throughout the centuries, believed to cause demons. And so what does he get for it? Dude, you get to be Valentine guy. How about that? How about apples that are those apples? How does the modern world react to Valentine's Day?
2/3 of singles think Valentine's Day shouldn't be strictly about romance. Gen Z and millennial Americans are feeling lonelier than ever since the start of the pandemic, but a new study finds online apps are helping them connect to others in need. A poll of 2,000 singles finds 77% have turned to online friendships to build connections and alleviate their loneliness. 3 in 5 people have met new friends via online dating apps in the last 2 years. And 66% credit their online pals for helping them get through the pandemic.
So that's what it means to some people. The younger generation takes it different, because remember, everybody in the younger generation apparently is gay and transgender. So that's, you have to take that into effect. What, Chad? Is that real? I think it was a third.
The study revealed 67% of respondents believe Valentine's Day shouldn't be a purely romantic holiday, since they would rather share the day with their single friends than feel pressure to land a date. Okay, I get it, singles, but if you're looking to not be single, being that guy who says Valentine's Day should not be about romance is like saying Arbor Day should not be about trees.
This guy's fun. It's about trees, by the way, Arbor Day, for those of you who don't know what Arbor Day is.
Another 43% of singles, that's 50% of women and 36% of men, believe Valentine's Day should include all forms of love. Okay, that is pretty open-ended. I mean, I do love steak and chocolate, but if that's not accompanied by a card and a gift, I can tell you I'm in trouble. Overall, 61% of respondents say they feel less romantic pressure this Valentine's Day than in previous years. 63% of those surveyed agree that most relationships and friendships will be made completely through the internet in the future.
Ooh, it's just more likely the probability. By the mid-1800s, common for friends and lovers of all social classes to exchange small tokens of affection or handwritten notes. And by 1900, printed cards began to replace written letters, because people were like, hey, I went to a store where they also sell disinfectant and Twinkies, and I bought you this card. And it says pretty much everything that I would say if I was to say it. Sign your name. Not very romantic. An estimated 145 million Valentine's cards are sent each year. The second largest card sending holiday of the year. Next only to Christmas. What? Yeah. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. It's going to cost more this year for Valentine's Day. Just letting you guys know that. But you knew that. Maybe you're thinking to yourself, man, I have a good year. I got to get myself fit. When I get a Valentine's next year, you got plenty of time, kids. And that's why my buddies over at Nutrisystem will let you know 50% off right now. 50% off. That's 50% off. Off what? Their amazing program. Nutrisystem has the best thing for men and women. But men, I'm talking to you. I've lost about 14 pounds now. I feel great. Their meals are incredible. Premium meals, burritos, raviolis, sesame with beef, spaghetti and meatballs. You name it, they have it. Chicken sandwiches, hamburgers, all of those things that we like to eat, guys. Let's be real. And the reality is, we don't always eat great. That's where Nutrisystem comes in. They're going to give you the right size portion combined with advanced nutritional science. It's going to help with your blood sugar, keep that thing level and steady so you're going to start losing weight. And they're going to make it so it doesn't taste disgusting and you don't want. Breakfast, lunch, dinners, snacks, all delivered to you. Oh, doesn't get any easier. Plus, there's ice cream. I said it. Don't tell anybody. There's ice cream. You will love, love, love it. Go to Nutrisystem.com/chat right now. Save yourself 50%. That's right. 50% off all plans. Ladies, that's everybody. But guys, 50% off by Nutrisystem.com/chat. 50%. That's a win. 50%. And you can be, hopefully, 50% less of you. Nutrisystem.com/chat. Results vary. Offer restrictions apply. See website for details. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
It was a bit right for crypto. You had the QR code ad for Coinbase, which was basically just the code moving around the screen. This was kind of a coming of age, and also for electric vehicles. I think those were the two big moves where we're going society, from a society point of view, was crypto and electric vehicles.
Yeah, lots of that last night. And then the Uber Eats thing, which fascinated me. Because apparently, eventually, you're going to be able to have them pick up stuff for you, like, I don't know, lipstick, kitty litter, all this kind of things. And then people were trying to eat it, right? It's like, oh, my God, I ordered some for Uber Eats, and it shows up. And it's like, oh, wow. And then, there was the lady, she's biting she got, lipstick, and she's biting the lipstick. And then there was people eating, whatever showed up, right? That's a diaper. And my thing about that is at the bottom of the screen, it says prop food, do not eat, kitty litter, diaper. That's what it said. That's what it said. It said do not eat kitty litter. As if somebody was buying kitty litter and eating it. Hey, I wasn't normally going to eat kitty litter, but the Uber Eats guy brought it, so apparently I can eat any of the stuff he brought. That is so ridiculous. Is that where we are? I think it is. That's of all the stuff that scared me the most in the last 48 hours was the insanity. I mean, that might be the scariest thing. This is why we can't have nice things. This is why we have to people turn to their elected leaders who are exalted upon high to tell us how much we can, do during the day and how many times should we wear a mask and yes, sir, no, sir. And because we have to have signs on the screen that say, don't eat kitty litter. Don't eat it. So stupid. Oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. The game was exciting. I enjoyed it. The fans, pretty stoked.
I am overwhelmed with joy right now. I'm so happy.
She's very, very happy. Very, very, very happy. You got some players that are probably going to be retiring today. Word is that Donald, who is their superstar for the Rams, may call it a career. And that Whitworth, who played for the Rams, he was the oldest player in the NFL now that Brady retired. And he had won the NFL honors the night before. He was named the NFL Man of the Year for all the work he does. He is 40. I think he's almost 41. And he's a lineman. This isn't a kicker. This is a lineman playing still at a high level. He had said the night before, essentially, people asking him, what's it like to be the oldest guy in the NFL? And he kept saying, I'm only going to be that way for a week longer. Kind of hinting, more or less, just saying it outright. Look, I'm done after this game. There's no doubt he's walking away. And that's the way to go, man. You got it all. You won. You won. That's the best way to get out. That's it. You won. There's nothing else that you need to do now. You've got the ring. You're going in the Hall of Fame. And it was also a great way for him to go out because the first 16 years in the NFL, he played for the Bengals. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Don't eat any podcast, but check out our podcast. Why did you have to say that? Because that's probably what we're going to have to do now. We're going to have to put some sort of disclaimer on audio because somebody might try to eat it. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A Lombardi Trophy for Los Angeles. 23-20 is the final on their home field here at SoFi Stadium in Super Bowl 56. The Los Angeles Rams are world champions.
Yeah, they are. The Rams are the winners. Champions of the world. Beating the upstart Bengals last night. It was, look, the last several weeks, the NFL has just been fantastic. It has just been ridiculous. It's been incredible. Arguably the best month and a half, 2 week stretch the NFL has ever had. It was awesome. And last night did not let us down. Rams took an early lead. Bengals battled back. First play of the second half, Bengals take the lead. They up their lead. Rams then kick a field goal. They're up by 3. Chance for the Bengals, to hold on to this. But then, lo and behold, here comes the Rams, right? So the Rams are down by 4. And a play after play made by their superstar quarterback who they traded everything for. And I do mean pretty much like they have mortgaged the future. To get Von Miller, they gave away stuff. To get Ramsey, their superstar DB, they mortgaged the future. And then what was left, they looked over to Detroit and said, look, we'll give you our guy that we don't really like, but we think you'll love. And we'll give you a bunch of draft picks. What do you guys say? They said, sure, this is it. This guy didn't want to be here. Get him out of there. So they had Cooper Kupp. Then they got Odell Beckham Jr. Once he was released, guy comes in, plays lights out the entire time, but he gets injured last night. Looks like he probably blew out his knee again. But the Rams marched down in a massive thing where basically it was, look, guys, you block, and I'm just going to tell Cooper Kupp to run whatever he can. I'll throw the ball to him because we got nothing else left.
Stafford from under center, steps back, throws the fade, back shoulder. Cooper Kupp's got it! Cooper Kupp brings it in! Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, LA!
And that was it. Defense handled the rest. They only had one timeout, the Bengals. They got on 4th down. They had to go for it. They had to go for it. Aaron Donald got to Joe Burrow again. There's your champions. And we're on to next year. It's the way it works in the NFL. The NFL. But it was great to watch. And of course, last night, everybody's eyes were on one particular thing that had nothing to do with the game itself. It had to do with the crowd and the game being played with inside the crowd. Because for the last 2 weeks, since this 2 weeks ago today, we were talking about what? Anyone remember? Oh, yeah. What was taking place at the NFC Championship game? Do you guys remember that? Do you remember the crap that was going on there? Well, I did breathe, so I'm okay. Mayor Garcetti said that. Let's relive that insanity. Because you had the mayor of Los Angeles, Garcetti. You had the governor of the state, Newsom. The mayor of San Francisco, all of them throughout the NFC Championship game unmasked. And then he came up with this gem. And I do mean it's a gem. It's one of those all-time gems.
I wore my mask the entire game. And when people ask for a photograph, I hold my breath and I put it here and people could see that. There's a 0% chance of infection from that.
Science! So they came out and they said, oh, my God, we're going to make everybody wear masks. We're going to do all this stuff. You're going to have your vaccine passport. We're going to make your negative test. We're going to make you guys wear masks. We're doing this. You guys, we're doing this. You can't stop us. The night before, you had the big NFL thing where they give out the awards at the YouTube Theater, which, by the way, is attached to the actual SoFi Stadium. So they're giving out these awards. All these NFL players, their families. Was what they would call the WAGs, wives and girlfriends. We're all there, right? Ex-players, players that are playing now, people up for awards, the whole 9 yards. Nary a one of them wearing a mask, but the kids outside playing in the little orchestra, they're wearing a mask because, that's what you do. So what about the crowd? They're going to hand out all this stuff, and they're going to come down. Like I say, everybody, we're going to have minders, and everybody's going to have to wear a mask or else.
Not only were very few people wearing masks inside the stadium, despite claims that they would be mandated and minders would be telling people to pull them up, this unvaccinated Bengals fan from Cincinnati tells me nobody checked to see if he was vaccinated or had tested before entering, as they said they would.
Walked right in, not one time was anything mentioned, hey, we need to see your negative test or your vaccination.
Nobody asked.
Nobody, not one person.
It's raising anger on social media here because kids still have to be masked in L.A. County at school, but few in the stadium had them on.
Yeah, because it's an absolute crap show, and these people want power. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for anything other than that at this point. You can't explain it. You can go and they say, "Oh, let's listen to the science. The science has changed." How is it always the science changes, and yet you never change with said science? Even Bill Maher is taking swipes.
Of course, for the Super Bowl, mask mandate. We're one of the last states to have this, but yeah, Super Bowl, have to wear the mask, except when you're eating or drinking. Because in America, stuffing your face is a religious exemption. California, the mask mandate is off, except for L.A. County. So if you're driving through, you can have no mask, but when you hit the county line, you got to put it on, except when someone gives you a hot dog, then you can take it off. What the CDC calls following the science.
Yeah. Joke. Absolute joke. Glad nobody wore the mask. Now what will they do? Supposedly on the 15th, which is tomorrow, they're supposed to make some sort of announcement. Here's the announcement you need to make. Get on with your life. Take your mask off. No more vaccine mandate. No more vaccine passports. Everybody live your life. That's it. Live your life. Will they do that? God only knows what they'll do. God only knows. On the other side of things, you had the halftime show, which is usually, when you go and look at the ratings, sometimes bigger than the actual Super Bowl itself, but that came with controversy.
It opened with Dr. Dre at a recording studio set up on the field, him and Snoop Dogg trading verses on a set that represented the streets of South L.A.
It's the one and only D.R.E.
A sign for local fast food joint Tam's Burgers, prominently displayed. Mary J. Blige and Eminem dishing out slices of nostalgia.
Come on, everybody, get on down.
Chart topper Kendrick Lamar performing one of his biggest hits, and a few surprise guests. 50 Cent appeared hanging upside down from a ceiling. Anderson .Paak, part of the live band. Many also noticed Eminem taking a knee a la Colin Kaepernick, which the NFL reportedly asked him not to do.
Yeah, but he did it. Most people wouldn't even, I didn't see it because, well, whatever. But what I love is the reaction of people. And the right, I'm looking at you. They go out and the NFL is now the league of sexual anarchy. This halftime show should not be allowed on television. That's Charlie Kirk tweeted that out. A lot of people were angry about that. I didn't. I like Snoop Dogg, right? I grew up in Strong Beach. Strong Beach, super nice. I zero issues with it whatsoever. It was what I thought a halftime show should be. I actually think they all sounded good. But Chad, but what about? I'm like, I don't. It was fine. I got no problems with it. I was rocking out last night. Right? Like 50 Cent showed up, put on a little weight, more like 55 Cent. Hope everybody's laughing. Just kidding, 50. You know, he's been hit with a few slugs. That's why he walks with a limp. And not quite sure why. I mean, I get the you know, they call the protege of Dre, but you know, I mean, the reality is Snoop and Dre. That's all you need. Mary J. Blige. There you go. There you go. But it was great. I had fun. I didn't have any problem with it. Some people will. And look, the NFL has a problem because the NFL problem is simply this. Do you know your audience? And therein lies part of the issue, is the understanding of what the audience is. But I don't think people realize a lot of the audience at halftime is not the audience for the game. It's almost like there's a switch, right? Because you'll get a lot of people that don't watch football, and you get a lot of women who don't really care for the game so much, but they want to watch the commercials, and a lot of people like that way, and they want to watch the halftime show. And you knew this was going to be controversy. Zero problems with it. And I got a lot of pushback from people. I can't believe it. I thought it was great. Look, I grew up in Long Beach. So I grew up, you know, I coached at Long Beach Poly High School. You know, I mean, I went to Long Beach Wilson, Long Beach Stanford. So I grew up in Strong Beach. And, you know, Snoop was a thing. This is kid, you know, Dre and Nate Dogg and stuff. I got zero problems with it. A lot of people did. And it's funny to look at the insanity. And on the other side, just because somebody doesn't like the music doesn't make them a Nazi. Right? Just because somebody doesn't like the music doesn't make them a person who wants to go burn a cross in your front yard. That's the other side of the insanity. That's why we can't have nice things. At the end of the day, I'm most disappointed by the commercials. I think any of the commercials were great. I watched, I was like, eh. And my favorite thing about the commercials, as I said last hour, and check out the podcast because you can relive the fun that we're about to have, is the Uber Eats commercial, because apparently they're going to be bringing you stuff now. And that includes stuff that's not food. They want to make sure that you don't eat the stuff, so they had to put at the bottom, prop food, do not eat, whatever it is that the people had in the commercial. Kitty litter, lipstick, because that might be what somebody does. Oh, my God. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Speaking of eating, I'm sure a lot of us gorged yesterday. And you know what? We got to take our health serious, right? That's one thing we've learned throughout this pandemic is health is important, and taking yourself seriously and getting pounds off. And sometimes it's not about 20 or 30 pounds. Sometimes it's about a percentage of body fat. Calibrate. Been working with them for a while. The easiest thing that you're going to be able to do is learn how to reset your metabolism, because so many people out there have tried a lot of stuff and you get frustrated. You'll drop a couple pounds and then you stop dropping weight, even though you're doing everything you think is right. And part of the problem is it's your metabolism. It's comfortable at a certain weight right now, and when you start to lose weight, it panics and shuts everything down. That's where Calibrate comes in. You get FDA-approved medication paired with lifestyle changes that's going to improve your metabolic health. You get one-on-one doctor visits, one-on-one video coaching, in-app tracking. On average, earliest members lost over 14% of their body weight. If you go there now, they're well into the 20, 30% loss of their body weight, and they're maintaining it. Because it's not just about losing the weight. It's about setting your body up for success long-term. It's easy to do, fits into anybody's life. Right now, join Calibrate. Go there, joincalibrate.com. Use promo code CHAD. Save $50 off a one-year metabolic reset. It's like it's simple and easy to do. And it's about making little changes that are going to go a long way in your life that are going to help you. JoinCalibrate.com, $50 off when you use code CHAD. JoinCalibrate.com, use code CHAD. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old intranet. What's trending?
Let's take a peek, find out what's trending on the old interwebs. Google. Mary J. Blige, the most searched thing in the last 24 hours, more than the Super Bowl. 10 million search talking about her crystal embellished halftime outfit. The bodysuit. Oh, yeah. Super Bowl. Peacock. A lot of people who didn't have NBC yesterday had to turn to Peacock. Oh, they did. Puppy Bowl. Team Fluffy won, from what I understand. Which is good. Valentine's Day. Nope, the trailer. If you've not seen it, it is the latest interesting alien horror movie, don't know, from Jordan Peele. Didn't give anything away, just had a lot of scary looking, and by that I mean people looking terrified in said commercial. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Head on over to the magical world of Google. Urban Meyer and Bill Belichick are trending because they spent the night at a Super Bowl party at Mar-a-Lago with the former president. And of course, that makes him evil. Charlie Kirk is trending because he basically came out and said how evil the Super Bowl was. Rolling Stone has a great article called "Liberals and Conservatives Unite to Dunk on Charlie Kirk." Yeah, it was one of those things like, dude, how old are you?
I just told you guys.
I'm like, okay, whatever. Boomers are trending, and part of that is because the Super Bowl halftime. An older generation is like, hey, what is this all about? And the millennials liked it. The reality is, us Gen Xers, that was our jam. That was our wheelhouse. Yeah, I could see that. And of course, the halftime show is trending, as well as the commercials. Which commercial did people like? Which didn't they like? I didn't find any of them to be uber like, oh my God, that was so amazing. I didn't. I thought they were okay. Some of them I thought were, I didn't, and the Coinbase one where it had the QR code bouncing around. That was, first it was like it didn't work, but then realized apparently it took down their servers because so many people QR'd that thing. What's a QR code? Exactly. If you go, what's a QR code? The reality is you probably like the halftime show. That's probably the reality of that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. A lot of stuff still to squeeze into. We're going to get into some stuff too. Not just inflation, but back to the insanity of the where do we go from here with the mask? But also, what happens now? This is endemic. It's not pandemic. Are we going to get rid of the mandates? Are we going to get rid of the vaccine passport? We have one social media influencer who tries to use her influence to get, into a place. And wait till you hear this. This is everything you think. Some good stuff with Bill Maher, too, about the Canadian protest, the truckers. How do you feel about that? I have a two-pronged attack on the Canadian truckers, and I'll tell you why, on both good and bad. Because I'm very consistent in this one message when it comes to certain things. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, your Twitter. Tweet at us, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I found out we went 1 and 2. We made history in the Olympics in the monobob. If you don't know what that is, it is the bobsled with just one person in it. I couldn't get anybody else to race with me, so I gotta go by myself. Yep. Kaylee Humphreys and Elaine Myers-Taylor became the first women to ever medal, gold and silver respectively, at the inaugural Olympic monobob event. They're running out of stuff. They are running out of things in the Olympics. We were thinking the other day, what can we do to make the Olympics more exciting? And my suggestion was the bobsled, but they all have to face the other direction. So instead of face first down, they have to face looking backwards, because I think it makes everything, more exciting. You don't know what's going to happen, where the turn's going to come. That could be dangerous. That's the point. That's the point. Such more on the Olympics in a little bit, but needless to say, the Russians are continuing to cheat, and everybody else who is part of the IOC and all of the other crap that goes on with this flawed and corrupt system said, yeah, it's okay if you guys cheat. We just won't give you a medal yet. Speaking of yet, the protesters are moving out, yet it's slow. And the protesters are the Canadian truckers who, as you know, apparently are all the most violent white supremacists on earth, except for the part where they are. But none of that matters.
The economic harm that this occupation is having on international trade is not sustainable, and it must come to an end. And as you can expect, this news conference will serve as a clarion call to activists and protesters who may seek to reinforce the occupation to prevent the reopening of the Ambassador Bridge. To those who are thinking about joining the protest, let me just say this: you are not welcome here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's great. I love how concerned they are now about business and economics, even though they have gone about destroying business and economics for small businesses across both borders. They're worried about it. Bill Maher actually took this on because I keep saying, guys, if you're getting arrested out there, just scream whatever, Black Lives Matter, Trans Lives Matter, something that's very liberal that the media gets behind, and they'll be, oh my God, these people are doing a good thing. Because they don't see, they see this as evil and bad. And the $500 million in damage done in, let's just say, Minneapolis, and the deaths that took place there, and the arson and the burning of buildings and destroying people's livelihoods as a necessary evil.
People are understanding that this is about something more than just the vaccine mandate. It's becoming a big thing. It's happening all over the world now. They think it might happen here in Washington. And why truckers? And I thought, like during the pandemic, we would see these ads, we're all in it together, and I think, no, we're not. If you're just ordering Amazon and you don't ever have to go out, and your job you can do remotely, but who's bringing the Amazon things? The trucker. You did not use that word elitist. That's the word that I think is on people's tongues and minds. And some people are staying home. Other people, can afford to wait out and get money from the government, and other people can't. And they're pissed off, the people who can't.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you got the likes of Trudeau, who is an absolute buffoon. He is. He's limp-wristed ding-dong who nobody should support. If your idea of quashing these things is because you only want to go out there and support the things that you want to support, and somehow you basically say everybody who's in this is essentially a Nazi, as he talked last week about, people don't need to see the swastika. You know what? They don't. And if you read anything, if you actually look at anything, you find out that those people that showed up to cause hell and maybe join in on something, those who really were there because they believe in white power, which I think was not as many as think some of them may planted themselves there. But those, either way, they got chased away because they didn't want any part of that involved with this. This is more than that. This is a sense of us versus them. You're imposing bizarre rules based on no science, and continuing to do so day in and day out, and we can't do it anymore.
But Justin Trudeau, I mean, I thought he was kind of a cool guy. Then I started to read what he said. He was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them. Now you do sound like Hitler.
Yeah. Think about that. Think about that. They take up space. It's your prime minister. It's ridiculous. It is. Vivek Rawamsi. Probably screwed that up. He's a healthcare and techie entrepreneur.
And this isn't a left or right issue. This is about an uprising of everyday citizens in democracies around the world, rising against the biggest threat to actual democracy, which I think is the rise of this managerial class in democracies around the world that are crushing the will of everyday people through bureaucracies. These are the unelected class of leaders that ultimately I think are using their bureaucratic power to supplant the will of everyday, not only Americans, but Canadians and Western Europeans too.
Absolutely. And you're finding more and more of that. People are pushing back. They feel like, wait a minute, we're good doing your bidding when you're telling everybody else to do certain things. So we can all be in this together as long as everybody's listening to what we have to say. But when we start to go, wait a minute here, that was fine at the beginning because we took some precautions, but now you're continuing to push just draconian, bizarre rules based on very little science. And you're continuing to hold the line with those things, even though none of that stuff seems to be playing out the way you thought. You want to keep it going. And seeing as we're pushing back, you're now saying, now you're part of a problem, so we must eliminate you.
And that's why we're seeing a fusion of both the left and the right here saying that actually we want our voices heard. We want to be able to speak without fear of putting food on the dinner table. And you know what? The beautiful thing about a democracy is that so far, thank God, this has been a peaceful set of protests. I hope it stays that way. That's part of the messiness of democracy. That's part of what makes it beautiful.
Yeah. Now, my issue is always this. Don't hold up traffic. We got places to go, things to do. That drives me crazy. I don't care. Even if I believe in your cause, if you're causing me to get home much later and or not get home at all or be late for work, that drives me crazy. It does. It does. Apparently, the big car companies were losing $1 million an hour or some ridiculous thing like that. They had to shut down, and you had Trump, saying, not Trump, but Biden coming down saying, hey, you know what? Crack down on these guys, Justin. Stop them from doing certain things. Make sure that if you have to, you take away their trucks and do whatever you have to do to crush them. Why? They've been peaceful, pretty peaceful. I mean, we heard last week in all those arrests. The arrests were stupid. It's like, we arrested 4 people for mischief. I'm like, oh, my God, not mischief. How many for arson and murder? None, but mischief. Holy mother of goodness.
As long as we're going to honor free expression, protest is important, but also protest is inherently disruptive. So the line we have to find for ourselves is, where does disruption become harm? These people have spoken. They have expressed themselves. They have a lot of passion behind their message, obviously. And what the Canadian government and any government has to then balance is, at what point does this now move over into more than your grievances, but the grievances of people such as workers in Detroit and elsewhere who are finding economic harm because of these protests?
Yeah. And there's some to that, but I go back to all of the nightmare that took place in Portland, Minneapolis, St. Louis, Los Angeles. You can start just jotting down big cities across the country and their hours of anger and the burning down of buildings and destroying of businesses and the taking over of 6 blocks in Seattle, being handed 6 blocks. That's a fair question to ask. Because if the media deems it to be a worthy cause in their mind, and this right here, as far as they're concerned, they're racist and they're anti-science and anti-vaxxers. They're not racist. Right? They're not anti-vax. Many of them, like 90% of truckers, are vaccinated. And they're not anti-science. They're anti-mandate and anti-insanity. and anti-overreach by the government. Those are good things to be. Those are. I've said it all along. I'm vaxxed. I'm boosted. I'm not anti-vax. I'm anti-mandate. I am pro-freedom and pro-having the choice to make that decision for you and yours. But you could spread it. So could you. For those of you screaming, but I'm vaccinated and boosted. So am I. I can still spread it if I get it. And then it leads to the other side of things we're talking about, which is the mandates, but also what do we do now with the passports? Do you have to have a vaccine passport everywhere, even they lift stuff? Are we only going to allow a certain group of people into certain areas? That sounds not really good.
So I'm literally shaking right now because I came to a restaurant to shoot content and they just discriminated against me and told me that I'm not allowed to sit down and eat food because I don't have a vaccine card. And I'm just beside myself at the fact that these people right here can say that it's not discrimination. What do you call that? You're trying to do your job. Everybody's trying to do their job. Do you understand what happened in the 1940s in Nazi Germany when people had to pull out cards there?
And it sucks because if you're like a 20-something who's working there, an 18-year-old, at some sort of cafe, and you got to tell people, look, you know what? I didn't make these damn rules up. They're stupid. We all know that. I can't allow you in here, right, at all. But then you're going, you're a Nazi, because that's what people do.
Yeah, get a manager because I have a large following on my account and I'm putting this place on blast. It's discrimination. Absolutely ridiculous. You think that I'm going to sit here and allow you to discriminate against me and not say something and not get loud about it? And you're just doing your job? Unbelievable. Everybody's just doing their job. Nobody has balls.
Balls. See, always right there to the balls. I just love how I got a large following. That's the new, do you know who I am? I have a large following. Do you know who I am? That's what that is.
This is the first time that I've been discriminated against since they started this jab card thing, and I don't go out into public because of it. And I came in here, and they told me that I can't sit down and I can't have lunch because I don't have a vaccine card. Are you freaking kidding me? Unbelievable. And everybody just sits here and has nothing to say. Bunch of freaking weaklings. Nazis, sheep, losers.
On a serious note, I do wonder what they're going to do in the future when it comes to the vaccine card, because that's just the dumbest thing in the world. And again, they were not checking them yesterday at the Super Bowl, whether you're vaccinated or had a negative test, just like they weren't throwing people out who didn't wear their mask, because nobody did. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from you. MyPillow has great deals, deepest discounts of all time. $19.99 for the MyPillow. Great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets, the mattress topper. You name it, they've got it. Huge discounts, the biggest discounts across the board. Now's the time to take a massive advantage of it. Plus, every time you go and you order something, they're going to send you Mike Lindell's book about his life story, going from his struggles with drugs to the CEO of MyPillow. Everything's made in the United States. 6-day money-back guarantee. Huge warranty. So if you don't like it, you send it back. But you're going to love it. Take advantage of the deep, massive discounts across all the MyPillow products right now and get a free book about Mike Lindell's life and his struggles from his rise from the drug situation that he was in all the way up to CEO of MyPillow. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
I am so proud to be associated with this group, and really, whether it's Aaron Donald, Whitworth, Stafford, Eric Weddle, there's so many guys that I'm just so happy. Von Miller, Odell, being able to bring those guys in. I could go on and on, the Robert Woods of the world. I love this group so much, love these coaches, and that drives you to try to be your best within the framework of your role, and I think that's what made this team special. I say a lot of stuff, at the moment, that's how I felt. You get over it. As a competitor, you have to be able to do that, but certainly this was really satisfying to see these guys and to see the looks on their faces, to be able to do it in the house that Mr. Kroenke built. It's really special.
Yeah. How cool is that? That right there is the coach of the amazing Rams, the winning Rams. A guy that still is yet in Sean McVay to coach against somebody younger than him. He was, 29 when he took the job? I think he's 36 now. The guy on the other side is a protege of his, and he's older. He's 38. But he mentioned Eric Weddle in this. Think about this guy, right? So Eric Weddle's been retired for 2 years. He's hanging out in San Diego, playing basketball, 5-on-5 basketball almost every day. They have umpteen injuries to their DBs and cornerbacks. He gets a phone call and says, hey, are you in shape? And he says, yeah. He goes, do you want to play and make a run for a Super Bowl? He said, sure. He was in the car within 10 minutes heading up from San Diego to Los Angeles. Gets thrown right into the mix week 1, and that was a Super Bowl ring. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Still no news on the Ukraine. Nobody knows what is going to happen, including, well, probably everybody but a singular human being.
This morning, a critical week in the Ukraine crisis amid growing fears Russia could invade in days. The White House continuing to ring the alarm, repeating that its intelligence shows Russia could be planning a fake attack on forces loyal to the Kremlin that would then be used as a reason to invade. Throughout this crisis, there's only ever been one person who really knows if there'll be an invasion: Russian President Vladimir Putin.
And he's not telling anybody, not at this moment in time. He's too busy doing whatever he wants to do, right? He's not worried about the sanctions. That is evident according to one of his ambassadors who told the Swedish ambassador he doesn't give a blank about any kind of sanctions that would come against him. And now the question is going to be not probably if, but when. Will it be before the Olympics are over? It's possible. More likely sometime in the next, I would say, 2 weeks, by the end of this month, maybe March 1st. Although he does have a propension of going in on the last day of the Olympics. He did it in Georgia, and he did it for the Crimea. Could he do it again? Possibility. But when you see the war games they're playing, which are live war games, meaning using live ammo, live stuff, they have multiple hospitals set up and triage units on the Russian side, which usually you don't do, for a war game. Interesting. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Back from under center, steps back, throws the fade, back shoulder. Cooper Kupp's got it! Cooper Kupp brings it in! Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown, LA!
And like that, the Rams took a lead in the final minute and a half. So they were down 20-16. Should have been 20-17. They botched an extra point. So kicking a field goal to tie the game was never an option. That means the Cardiac Kitties, Cincinnati, upstart, awful. The best way to describe the Bengals in a word over the last 18 years is awful. Not just awful, beyond awful. Not even close. Barely a 200 win percentage. But this year, with their cool guy, Joe Burrow, leading them, they had a minute plus to go down and try to at least kick a field goal, and they got a field goal kicker for that. Evan McPherson, kid's got a huge leg. Makes me laugh. Last night, everybody went in at halftime. Not him. He stayed on the bench and watched the entire halftime show, clapping and dancing. But you got to get there first. 4th and 2. They're going for it.
A Lombardi trophy for Los Angeles.
And they didn't make it. Because Aaron Donald, who may retire, being the best player arguably in the NFL, came in and got to him again. The Rams win. The Rams win at home, collect their Super Bowl in front of thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who were unmasked.
Not only were very few people wearing masks inside the stadium, despite claims that they would be mandated and minders would be telling people to pull them up, this unvaccinated Bengals fan from Cincinnati tells me nobody checked to see if he was vaccinated or had tested before entering, as they said they would.
Walked right in, not one time was anything mentioned, hey, we need to see your negative test or your vaccination.
Nobody asked.
Nobody, not one person.
It's raising anger on social media here because kids still have to be masked in L.A. County at school, but few in the stadium had them on.
Yeah, that is hilarious. Even teachers last night were tweeting out. One tweeted, "My students all have to wear masks all day tomorrow inside and outside of the classrooms because we're in L.A. County. Same place the Super Bowl was, but nary a mask in sight." No, nor should there be. And it is, to me, criminal that you're continuing to wear kids wear masks with no science behind it. The latest Yale study that came out, like a meta study, essentially says, hey, kids in Florida who didn't wear masks, yeah, they didn't spread it any different than kids in New York who didn't wear masks. And as far as dying from it, not happening. It's just not. But there were 700 deaths. Yeah, since the beginning of this, there has been. There's also been 4,000 kids that have died from drowning. How many from things like car wrecks? Okay. You go back to the situation, and trust me, I got a little one. At the same time, I also have to understand the risk-reward thing. What's the risk of this, right? What is my threshold for risk? Just curious. So while all that's going on, and over the last 2 weeks, the crap that you heard from Mayor Garcetti, the mayor of L.A. who was caught maskless.
I wore my mask the entire game, and when people ask for a photograph, I hold my breath and I put it here, and people could see that. There's a 0% chance of infection from that.
Science! For all that baloney, people are over it. They're over it. And enough, right? You're still going to have the people out there who are in a situation where they're living their lives in this perpetual fear. They're living their lives in all that consumes them as this risk. The risk of what? Are you vaccinated? You are. Fantastic. The chances of you getting sick and dying are virtually nil. Okay, so you move on with your life. But somebody else could get it. Somebody else can. Somebody else is going to die of heart disease. Somebody else is going to die from a car accident. Somebody else is, you could start checking. We can't do that. Otherwise, nobody would ever leave their house. They talked about all the stuff they were going to do at the Super Bowl. Remember? Because they all got caught without their masks. They all got caught in the big lie that had nothing to do with voting and all to do with this giant scam now of continuing to perpetuate something that doesn't need to be pushed out there. Which is kids need to wear a mask because of what? The chances of them dying are so minute, are so small. And that's based on the numbers we have that we recognize. If 50% of kids are asymptomatic and you double that, that's insane. It is insane. But still, we continue to push forward with crap. And I hope today, because supposedly in theory, we have heard rumblings that on the 15th, L.A. County and some of these other places are going to be making kind of decisions based on, we're going to get rid of this, that, and the other. No, you get rid of them now. That's when you do it. Kids, it's over. Kids, we're done. Kids, it's over. It's done. Period. Case closed. We're moving on with our lives. That's when you do it. Just like this. Last week, Las Vegas.
Starting tomorrow, we don't have to wear masks anymore. Is anybody excited?
Yeah, they are. They are. And watching them throw their mask in the air and celebrate, it's like watching when a hockey team wins the Stanley Cup and they get ready to go mob the goalie, where they're all just sitting there and they're throwing their mask in the air and they're all jumping up and down. They've hurt themselves for credibility more and more when they continue to push this insanity. You've hurt yourself at the ballot box because eventually you're going to ask parents for money, and you're going to find out they're not thrilled by what you've done. And you've also made it tougher on yourself in the coming years because the damage that's been done to these kids in stunting their growth and learning, in making them uncomfortable to come to school, and for the littlest amongst them, putting them in situations where they're falling behind on their language skills because they don't get facial expression and they're not seeing people speak. But you continue to do whatever it is that you think is right, and everybody else will sit there and go, ugh. Talking to my mom the other day, my two little brothers still have to wear a damn mask in their school. And they're just, my other little brother, by the way, who goes to a private school and has since the beginning of this, has not worn a mask at all. They've had zero outbreaks or issues whatsoever. No kids, parents, adults, no teachers, administrators have died, been hospitalized. The one thing that they do is they clean their rooms really good, and this is very important, they have a COVID sniffing dog, which apparently has been quite exciting. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. The world is still looking at this place called the Ukraine, wondering what in God's name is going to happen. What we do know is certain things are happening that could come soon.
The administration had intelligence which suggested not just that it could happen at any time, but this was now imminent. Remember, imminent was a word that President Biden had used early on. Then the administration rolled back from it and said, well, maybe not until after the Olympics. Now they were saying at any time, at any day, even during the Olympics, an invasion could happen.
Yeah. Ian Pennell there, over there. Is that possible? Yes, I think absolutely anything is possible. Here's something to think about, just for blanks and giggles. If you're Biden and you've gone about this thing where you're screaming the sky is falling, the sky is falling. If the sky doesn't fall, does that make you look like a bigger ding-dong than already people are thinking about after your debacle in Afghanistan? Because people are still asking questions about that. Because they're telling our people, you guys need to get out. You guys need to get out. You guys just get. Which, in fairness, I agree wholeheartedly that something's going on, and at least they're giving you a warning.
We encourage all American citizens who remain in Ukraine to depart immediately. Any American in Ukraine should leave as soon as possible in the next 24 to 48 hours. We don't know exactly what is going to happen, but the risk is now high enough and the threat is now immediate enough that this is what prudence demands. If you stay, you are assuming risk with no guarantee that there will be any other opportunity to leave, no prospect of a U.S. military evacuation in the event of a Russian invasion.
Yeah, so at least you've been warned now. The question is, while Biden is talking about the imminent invasion and what could possibly happen, and Putin's saying, I don't really care about any of this stuff. I'm not worried about, your baloney sanctions.
Russia vehemently denying any intention of invading, accusing the US and others of being hysterical with their warnings. Over the weekend, President Biden speaking with Vladimir Putin without any sign of progress. Following the call, US officials saying time may be running out for diplomacy. The US has told all American citizens to leave Ukraine immediately as it draws down embassy staff.
Yeah. So they're look, let's not pretend that something may not happen. You don't move that many soldiers. You don't move that kind of equipment to a certain area and not think that something may happen. On top of that, you're setting up triage units and mass units in massive amounts of areas. That is not something you would do unless you feel that you may have an issue. The question is, for the pooter and for the world, is what's enough? If all is to be believed, then 20,000 to 50,000 could be killed within days. What's the world's threshold for, all right, you've gone too far? Not you've rolled over Crimea with very little pushback and very little, death and destruction as we would see with this. Because at some point you would have to say, if there's, 5,000 soldiers killed and 25,000 civilians killed, you've walked your line out to the end of the old plank there, and now you've got nowhere to go. So you're either going to fight your way back into this, or we're going to push you off. Somebody's going to have to stand up. If. Is there a diplomatic way out of it? There's a possible diplomatic way out of it, because he's got to get something, right? He's got to come back with a piece of paper that says, I won. Has he painted himself into a corner, and is he willing to risk potentially killing tens of thousands of people and having the world, even some that may be fine with Pooter, say, yeah, we can't have this? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. My dog Doodle, happy, healthy, bouncy, living life large, even though he was not healthy for a long time. We got him. He had problems that we didn't know he had. That's probably why he was on the discount aisle. But he is happy. He's healthy. And I love it. We feed him his Rough Greens every day. It's just a supplement, goes on top of his food. It's got vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3s, all these incredible stuff. And what it does is it brings his food to life, gives him the nutrients he needs that he was lacking in. We give it to our younger dogs as well, start their life off in a great way. It is awesome. Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. They don't want you to spend anything other than shipping. You cover the cost of shipping, you'll get a bag for free. Try it yourself, ruffgreens.com/Chad, roughgreens.com/Chad, or call 833-MY-DOG-77, 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
I'm so tired. I'm exhausted.
If you're part of the politically exhausted majority, don't fear. Your time to be validated and rejuvenated is here. Wake up. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Pop! The pageantry, the doping scandals, and the ever-present corruption from the IOC and everybody who seems to be involved in the Olympics outside of a few athletes. Very nice, Chad. Yes. So do you guys remember this young lady who's supposedly, people call her maybe the greatest skater of all time? She's only 15 years old. Valyeva. And last week, it had come to people's attention that she had already tested positive for a drug. The short word is TMZ, that's what they call it. And it helps pump blood to your heart. People who have angina will take it. And it helps with the blood flow and gives you more oxygen. And so they had won the gold medal as a team, the Russians. And then they're like, wait a minute, we can't do this. It's like, this just can't be done because you guys, one of you have cheated. And it's her. The one who did 4 spins, the quad. She did twice. Nobody else has ever done it. You've cheated. Russia's already not supposed to be there. ROC. That's the Russian Olympic Committee. You can't compete under a flag of your own because of state-sponsored cheating. So why isn't she out of the games? Well, they took it to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, And they said,
the CAS panel in charge of this matter has decided to let Ms. Valieva continue her participation in the Olympic Winter Games Beijing 2022.
What? Yeah. Yeah. No suspension whatsoever. Now, if she wins, it's the weird thing. Nobody gets a medal until the World Anti-Doping Association, which I think is going to throw everything out, will make a decision. But this is just, once again, awful.
Thousands of other Olympians around the world, not just Americans, but British and German and Canadian and Australian, who do everything the right way and who don't cheat. What a dark day this is for them, and what a slap in the face this is for them.
Absolute. Nasty slap in the face, dark day. But when you have corrupt organizations working with corrupt countries who enjoy the corruption because it's exactly what takes place behind closed doors, and everybody gets a slap on the back and a very expensive handshake, these are the things that you get. Sad. Very, very sad. And to think, I wasn't watching the Olympics already. Now I'm doubly not watching the Olympics. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Super Bowl yesterday, entertaining. Best several weeks the NFL had, and the whole world got to watch people in LA not wear masks, which is always entertaining. The halftime show, I found to be entertaining. Some people didn't.
West Coast, make some noise! LeBron James tweeting that it was the greatest halftime show he's ever seen. The first rap-centric halftime show in Super Bowl history served up plenty of nostalgia, music chart hits, and African-American imagery and artistry from Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. A guest appearance by 50 Cent, and a set that paid tribute to the streets of South LA. A few naysayers on Twitter objected to the dancing and some of the lyrics, but most seemed to love it.
Yeah, it was great. Man, I was like, it's really cool. People are like, I can't believe you. I'm like, what are you talking about? My generation, different. I grew up in Long Beach and Strong Beach. And I grew up in a very multicultural area. It's very nice. But I grew up, man. I coached a school, Long Beach Poly. I went to Long Beach Stanford High School, junior high, and Long Beach Wilson. And I grew up and went to summer school at Poly on numerous occasions. Did a lot of summer school. That's what I'm trying to say. In a weird way, my schooling was year-round. Didn't help. I thought it was great. Who didn't like it? The people out there who've always, walking around, with a stick up their butt. Just, oh, my God, I can't believe this music. So get off my lawn crowd. That's who didn't like it. The get off my lawn crowd because I don't like this music. This is not. Blah, 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 blah. It was fine. Mary J. Blige crushed it. Snoop and Dr. Dre were always doing their thing. 50 Cent took a knee. I don't think anybody really paid attention to that. The NFL said they were aware. They tried to dissuade him. Apparently there was a lot of tension because I think Snoop and them were like, you know what, dude, just get over it. We're not turning into that. We have a chance to showcase our hood. We have a chance to get our music out in a way that is, we're being accepted here. We have a chance to have our voice, a voice of the streets that wasn't heard for years, that became heard, and then it was bad to listen to that music. We have that chance to have that. You have 50 Cent. It's good. It's good. I enjoyed it. The commercials, not so much. I didn't enjoy the commercials. I just didn't, some people like the commercials. Some people watch it only for the commercials and the halftime show. I totally understand that. As far as the commercials themselves, There was a lot of this.
It was a bit frightening for crypto. You had the QR code ad for Coinbase, which was basically just the code moving around the screen. This was kind of a coming of age, and also for electric vehicles. I think those were the two big moves where we're going society from a society point of view, was crypto and electric vehicles.
Yeah, you had a lot of that. On top of that, Donnie Deutsch talks about the nostalgia.
I think we're living in these crazy times now, and nostalgia really works when you can work back. The late 90s, things seem to be a little bit calmer, and nostalgia works when the current times tend to be particularly turbulent. So I think it was a very effective time, and it bridges the generations.
That was all right. I was just fascinated by the Uber Eats ads where they're going to deliver, like, if you need something. And so let's just say you go, hey, could you pick me up, I don't know, diapers, kitty litter, so they could bring you food and this. And the whole thing that was fascinating was to me is that people would, like in the commercial, they would, don't eat that, it's a diaper, or don't eat the kitty litter. And they have to have prop foods at the bottom of the ad. Don't eat kitty litter. And I'm like, we need that? Like, that's what we need? Then I go back to, don't eat Tide Pods. Yes, apparently we do need that. We do. That's where we are. We need that on our stuff because people are stupid. People are idiotic, and we must have ways to protect them. And you wonder why they want to get rid of the likes of Joe Rogan and go out and have to put warning signs on some of this information, maybe disinformation, because people apparently are so stupid. When I was a kid, it was about, you know what, you'll learn your lesson. There's nothing else you can do about it. There's only so much I could say, and you'll figure it out for yourself. But that's not it. Not anymore. Now we have to protect everybody from themselves, including the people that would apparently eat kitty litter. And if you eat kitty litter, is there a real reason we should save you? That's a fair question. I can't think of any. I mean, he ate kitty litter. It's not the sharpest tool in the shed. That's evident. He ate kitty litter. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. Inflation is going up, 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 and away.
Inflation is up. It's up. But Americans don't need the reminder.
Delivery costs, like product costs, everything seems like it's going up.
Gas prices up a whopping 40%. Furniture, used cars, and electricity also seeing a surge. At the grocery store, staples like eggs and pork are more expensive.
With the cost of food, you just have to bite the bullet. And, some things you just have to sacrifice.
Yeah, you have to bite the bullet because kids need to eat. People need to eat. Not kitty litter, by the way, for those of you not keeping score. Not kitty litter. Prices are going through the roof. We have a fear that potentially oil can start to get out of hand as it heads towards $100 a barrel, and it's getting close. It's absolutely getting close. Earliest today, it hit $96 a barrel. We had our buddy on last week, Zach Abraham from Bulwark Capital, saying, look, there's a chance. We're already at the output we had pre-coronavirus. They're not doing any more. We have a lot of people who have oil wells here, companies, small. But by the way, most of the wells that you hear about and people producing oil, they're smaller companies that have a few wells. But fracking was a big deal. Nobody's lending money for people to frack right now. It's just not a good look in the green new world that we're heading towards. But if oil got to 120, heaven forbid it got to 150, which is what he said it could possibly get to, you couldn't even imagine. That's $8 a gallon. You're not winning an election on $8 a gallon. You're not. You're just not doing that. And the Democrats understand that. And right now, the Democrats have a huge problem. And that is you've got a midterm and you've got inflation on everybody's mind, which means pocketbooks on the mind, which means you're in power, and you being in power is going to cost us. And if it costs us, we're going to make it cost you at the ballot box.
When can Americans expect some relief from this soaring inflation?
According to Nobel laureates, 14 of them that contacted me and a number of corporate leaders, it ought to be able to start to taper off as we go through this year.
Yeah. That was the interview that he did the other day for NBC. They played some of it with Lester Holt at the game. One of the things that he did do, though, before he got to that point, was he talked about Lester asked him, straight out, because he's all, oh, yeah, this is temporary, right? Everybody kept saying it was temporary. Transitory was the word they used.
I think it was back in July you said inflation was going to be temporary. I think a lot of Americans are wondering what your definition of temporary is.
Well, you're being a wise guy with me a little bit, and I understand that's your job.
No, he's asking a real question. What's temporary? It was supposed to be the end of the second quarter. Then it was the end of the third. Then it was maybe the end of the fourth, early 2022. Now they're talking about at least through this year before we get any relief. And that doesn't really mean anything at this moment in time because you've lost all credibility. Plus, we don't know what's going to happen with the supply chain, of which we caused a lot of this by continuing to print money and hand it out to people, not understanding that as we're doing that, we're creating some of the supply chain mess because we're consuming too much to the point of some 20% over what we're exporting. That means we're consuming a lot. The second thing is we have no idea what's going to happen right now with the oil industry, which will put a huge amount of pressure on a lot of other things. So you don't know if it's going to end at the end of the year. Could do, right? We could do. We could find out it just goes away. Or we could find out that this is here for a little bit longer than you've realized. And that there's not a lot you're going to do about it. And when it comes time to vote, we continually vote with the pocketbook. We could talk about a lot of other things. And last year, even during Trump's loss in his election, the reality is if you go look at the Republicans across the board, they had a great run. Trump, that was Trump defeating Trump. This will be different.
The Democratic Party has really got a Biden problem and a Kamala Harris problem on its hands. And let me just give you some historical context here. When Barack Obama ran for the presidency in the 2008 presidential election, he declared his candidacy on February 10th, 2007. That means in this election cycle, it's less than 1 year. It's literally almost to the day, 1 year from now, presidential contenders need to declare. So what's going to happen to Joe Biden is the day after the November election, in just a little over 8 months, Democrats are going to demand to know from Biden, are you in or are you out? And I think they're going to want him out because he's going to take the party down.
Latest polls say they don't want him or Trump running. They want new blood. The Republicans have a lot of younger candidates that are interesting. The Democrats, who do you have? It ain't, I'm going to say it now, it ain't Kamala Harris. I think they realize that. Pete Buttigieg? Not so much. Who do you have? On the other side, you got, the Republicans have got a ton of governors that they could run. They have got several senators that have already thrown their hat in once before. So who do you have? And that's what you have to be looking around. If I'm them, the obvious choice, if you're a Democrat, is the guy in California. He looks good, right? He's great on camera. He's affable, likable, but his politics are insane. And that's what's pushing people away from the Democratic Party. Nobody wants sanctuary cities and states. Nobody wants a rise of crime to the roof. Nobody wants eternal masking and this fear of waiting for the government to come in and take everything over. If you're really thinking about that and you're the governor of California, you've got to figure out how you start to edge away from that. But outside of that, I don't see a ton. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. And I'll tell you, if inflation continues to go this way, you can mark my words. It is going to be, they thought about that blue tsunami last time. This will be a red tsunami that will actually be a tsunami instead of a trickle. All right, kids. Healthy Body Starter Pack. Take it every day. From my buddies over at Youngevity. I love it. Take it. Tangy Tangerine, Beyond OsteoFX, and the Ultimate EFA Plus. It's simple and easy. Start with my drink, my tangerine drink. Take it, drink it up. Gives me a ton of energy. Feel great. 90 essential nutrients right there. OsteoFX, great for calcium, magnesium. That's awesome. And then my Ultimate EFA Plus, which helps me. It's got omegas in it. It's great for brain and heart health. I have tons of energy. I go. I work a lot. I love what I do. But, I also recognize I miss out on a lot of stuff when it comes to the nutrients and things I need. That's why I like to have a backup plan. And that, my friends, is Youngevity's Healthy Body Starter Pack. Right now, you can try it. Go to ChadBensonHealth.com. Get free shipping coming to you right now. You will love these products. They're going to give you energy. They're going to help you out. ChadBensonHealth.com, ChadBensonHealth.com, or call 855-321-HEALTH. That's 855-321-HEALTH. Get amazing stuff from Youngevity, but try the Healthy Body Starter Pack at ChadBensonHealth.com. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Check us out. You can tweet at us. You can text the program, 323-538-2423. Chad Benson Show.
Don't let the Washington Beltway strangle you. This is where the exhausted majority comes to refuel, realign, and reevaluate. This is Chad Benson.
At the same time, and at the recommendation of Dr. Moore, we will lift proof of vaccination requirements for all settings.
What? This had nothing to do with the Canadian truckers. This was already there. We were already getting ready to do this. So don't think that you guys in Canada, you guys did nothing. So they're going to lift all of the stuff, apparently. In theory, in Canada. They're going to lift them all. So there'll be no more issues when it comes to mandatory vaccinations. Masking will come soon, but as far as how many people could be there. But this was already in place, so don't think you guys did anything about it.
This plan was in place long before the protests were out there.
Yeah, I don't think so, because you would have said so. Don't think that it did. Maybe you guys had a plan. I think everybody has a plan. Doesn't mean that you are ready to roll your plan out. Right? Everybody's got some sort of plan when it comes to how do we get out of this. The reality is you get out of it by getting out of it. At some point, you have to look to the people and say, hey, people, wherever you are, United States, New Zealand, Australia, the UK, et cetera, we're done. You now must assess the risk for yourself, but we're no longer going to take care of you. We're no longer going to coddle you, hold your hand. For those of you who are terrified and want to keep this going, but the reality is we're no longer going to run your life. They're never going to do that because they like that. They do. They love it. They love to be able to tell you how to live your life. No, they don't. Yes, they do. If you don't think that, there are people out there that want to cede everything to the federal government. Let them be the seasayers and purveyor of truth, and we can't do that. We can't. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet us. It is Valentine's Day. It's my beautiful wife. Love you. Amazing. Incredible. Have a good Valentine's Day, everybody. Quick story about Valentine's. If you wonder who he is, which one was, there was a lot of Valentines back in the day. There was one Valentine in particular, 271. He married people against the emperor's wishes, in particular soldiers. Oh, yeah. That pissed off the emperor. It's like, no, I didn't do that. I like my soldiers single because they're fighting for themselves. They're not thinking about home. They're not thinking about the stupidity of me getting them into other wars. Right? And so then you had a guy, Asterisk, who made fun of Valentine inside of prison, continuing to make fun of him. Said, if you're so awesome, why don't you heal my daughter? She's blind. Her name's Julia. He did so. Asterisk's like, I can't keep you here, bro. We got to get you out of here. Both of them were eventually beheaded. But in a note he wrote, he signed it at the end to Julia, my dearest Valentine. That's kind of the way the story goes. Simple and easy. Have a great Valentine's Day and a great rest of your Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow as always. Night, Chad.
This is the Chad Benson Show.